Democratic Party. Now, the party immediately held its first national convention that produced Chief John Oyegun as its national chairman. It was later to secure people's votes to replace the ruling People's Democratic Party at the center. Now, on the 23rd of June 2018, fresh national executive members were voted during a convention that replaced the pioneer leadership, with Comrade Adams Oshomole emerging as its national chairman. But his administration was short-lived. On May 25, 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari intervened in the leadership crisis that was rocking the party and threatening its survival. And he constituted a caretaker, an extraordinary convention national committee headed by Governor of Yobe State for a 6-month assignment to return the party's structure. Now, more than a year later, the much-anticipated structure is yet to come to fruition. However, the party says movement is in top gear to fulfill the committee's mandate. Tonight, NTA Tuesday Live will look at some of the developments surrounding the convention now slated for the 26th of March 2022. But before we go into the conversation, let's get to see this report by political correspondent Salihu Gwanara.
Article 25A1 of the APC Constitution 2014 as amended stipulates that the National Convention shall be held once in 2 years at a date, venue and time to be recommended by the National Working Committee NWC and approved by the National Executive Committee NEC, subject to the giving of the statutory notices to the Independent National Electoral Commission and at least 14 days notice given to those members eligible to attend. In June 13, 2014, APC held its first national convention at Eagle Square and produced Chief John Oyegun as national chairman. The party's second national convention was a non-elective one held at Old Parade Ground in Abuja. However, the third national convention was mainly to conduct a presidential primary. The fourth national convention held on June 2018 produced the Adams Oshomole-led National Working Committee, which was ousted midway into a 4-year tenure. In compliance with the party's document, precisely Article 13(3) subsection 6, which gives the National Executive Committee NEC power to create, elect and appoint any committee it may deem necessary and assign to them such powers and functions as may deem fit and proper. In June 2020, the Governor Mala Buni-led Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee came to life with a 6-month mandate to conduct a national convention. This has, however, lasted for about 2 years now. The committee is now set to give the party a new elected National Working Committee, having embarked on some rebranding and rebuilding processes, such as the conduct of congresses at wards, local government, and state levels. The Governor Mala Buni-led APC CECPC, among other strides, revalidated the membership register and amended the party's Constitution 2014 as amended, now awaiting ratification at the National Convention. Activities are on top gear by party members, particularly those jostling for the #1 seat of the party and membership into the National Working Committee. As at the time of this report, positions are left open for members to contest, and already top members of the party, mostly from the North Central geopolitical zone, are dominating the scene.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let me introduce our guest to you. I'd like to welcome to this program Senator Ahmed Rufai-Sani Yereman Bakura, former governor of Zamfara State. Thanks for being here, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Right. Let me also welcome to this program Dr. Kabir Mohammed, the chieftain of the APC, being here tonight.
Thank you very much. This Dr. Kelani, please.
From our Kaduna Network Center is political scientist, Professor Kabir Matu, good to see you tonight.
Good evening, Nigeria.
And also joining us via Zoom from Abuja, hopefully, yes, joining us via Zoom from Abuja is Rinsola Abiola, a political analyst.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, as we always do on this program, we acquaint you with the procedure. We'd like to tell you that at a particular point in time in the program, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. When that time comes, we'll refresh your memory about the rules. The phone lines will be on your screens. You can call in and be part of the discussion, but that will be much later in the program. For now, thanks for joining us on NTA Tuesday Live. We're looking at party politics and the APC convention. So let's start off by looking at some of the issues that have been run around with regard to the APC's convention. And let's start with you, distinguished Senator. It's a fair comment to say that for some time now, the APC as a party has been wading through, waters that cannot exactly be described as calm.
What you see is part of democracy. A political party comprises so many people, so many types of people from different spheres of life. And you will find people with varying interests. So these interest groups come together. For example, the APC itself was formed as an amalgamation of some political parties. So therefore, you find some agreements and disagreements, but in most of the times, organs of the party will come together and salvage the situation. That is why when there was that crisis during Adam Oshomole, Mr. President, who is the leader of the party at the national level, had to intervene to bring about the caretaker committees that we have today.
Right. The party, emerged out of a merger of so many groups, so many interest groups. Would that be the reason why it's been finding it extremely difficult to forge some cohesion? People say, well, at the start of it all, there were strange bedfellows who came together for the purpose of wresting power from the then ruling party, the PDP. And so now that the APC now got itself into power, all those forces began to pull in different directions to assert their position. Was that the reason why?
No, you see, democracy is developing in this country.
Right.
We are not yet there. We still are hoping to reach a situation whereby we have political parties based on ideology. But now you don't have any party with a particular specific ideology. Therefore, like you said, you have people with varied interests, different groups coming together. But I think in future, you will have people of, we say progressives. That is part of the objective of the APC. We want to achieve a group that are looking at Nigeria progressively. Therefore, I'm sure in future, all these interest groups will come together. Some will leave, some will come in. And in the end, the democracy will develop in Nigeria towards an ideology-based political groups.
Okay. Well, let's go over to Dr. Kabir Mohammed. And Dr. Mohammed, the convention earlier slated for February, after so many arguments back and forth by members, has now been put to March. What could have been responsible for this change?
Siristoba, this is Engineer Dr. Kelani Muhammad, not Kabir. I believe we've been working together with you over centuries. So that be. You see, the amalgamation, as what the former governor of Zamfara said, is what brewed what we saw today. You know, many forces, you have the PDP, you have ACN, you have CPC, you have other parties. They came together and formed this particular, party. And there are many forces. Apart from the inside forces, we have forces from outside. Many interest groups, many, people want their own interests to be protected. And that's why, but I blame especially our governors. These governors, they tend to tell the president the wrong thing because party members have been mobilized. It started from 6 months when they gave the Extraordinary Convention Committee when he was sworn in by the president. He now came and requested for another 6 months. Now we are talking of 2 years. And at the same time, this man is a governor of a state. So this thing, the party, the lifting of the convention that's supposed to take place on the 26th of February to, March 26th, many members are not happy. Why? Is there any hidden agenda? If you have done well and you know that in your own constituencies you have provided the dividend of democracies to the people, why are you afraid? We are not happy, but nevertheless, as you are postponing the evil day, the right thing must be done, fairness and credibility. If a carpenter stands for an election, a peasant farmer, or a tailor, there must be plain level ground for us Nigerians, is their rights, so that they can contest, and also they can contest, and if they are voted for, they should be able to, take the mantle of leadership. But the way things are going, what we've been hearing, the rumors from all the 6 geopolitical zones of this country, is that the governors they want to appoint, they want to install. But I believe Mr. President is somebody who is very sincere and honest. Maybe he doesn't know what is happening, but time will tell. You see, stakeholders.
We'll just ask you to pause there for a while. I appreciate the correction. Among those we were actually expecting is the very first person I introduced here. So that mix-up is regretted. Of course, we have had you a number of times on this program. And the minute you came on air, and I said, that's Kelani Mohammed. And of course, you do know we go back a long time, more than 30 years. Right, much more than 30 years back in Lagos. So I appreciate it. We'll return to you in a moment or two. But let's go over to our Kaduna Network Center and speak to Professor Kabir Matu. Now, you have been part of the political system in this country. And what can you tell us about what has been going back and forth with regard to how the APC came into this position, what could have happened, tried to put a convention in place, it didn't work, and of course, seeing that a caretaker committee is not the best in terms of how the party should be run. Let's hear you.
Very much, Cyril. I think some of the answers to these questions have already been provided by my colleagues there in the studio. But I think it's important to really look at the nature and character of political parties under this dispensation in Nigeria from a historical point of view. One of the very tremendous damages that the Nigerian military through its several years of governance has done to the political space in this country was the decision each time you had a transition program by any military regime, one of the cardinal directives that the political class will get was that no new political party that should be formed under that dispensation that should have any resemblance, any relationship with a previous political party. What do I mean by this? If you take the history of political parties in Nigeria from colonial period, the MPC, NCNC, Action Group, NEPU, UMBC, and the rest of them, you will find that they had their roots really entrenched within the fabric of the body politics of the respective sections of Nigeria. Soon after the military struck in 1966, and then we had a very long military rule which span up till 1979. One of the conditions that the Obasanjo government gave in place was that it was not possible for any political party that would secure the registration of the Federal Electoral Commission unless if that political party did not have any semblance with any of the previous political parties that existed. Now, that continued up to the time of President Babangida, when the Second Republic was also truncated, and then you had the emergence of many other political parties. One of the conditions also given by that government was that all the political parties must be new, must not have any resemblance with either the parties of the First Republic or Second Republic. Now, that was not achieved. It ended up with what we now commonly refer to in the history of our political party formation as, the two-party system, where you have one a little to the left and one a little to the right. That also did not see the light of the day, and it was truncated, by the coming of the Shonikan Abacha government, and also another attempt, and the same prescription was given. But now, the implication of this particular prescription is that it denied the Nigerian political elite and the political space the opportunity to have what we commonly refer to as political party solidarity. If you take the history of Nigeria, you take the history of Pakistan as far as political development and evolution is concerned, you'll find that they are very similar. But where Pakistan got it better than Nigeria is that any time the military struck and it was handing over power to the civilian administration, the older political parties were allowed to resurface, get back to their solidarity, get back to their basis, and then begin to. Now, we lack that in Nigeria, and this precisely is what gave birth to the formation of the PDP, the APP, the Action Congress, etc., that further developed and transmuted into what we have today. Nigeria today can comfortably be said to be a two-party state. It's a state that is governed by the APC with the PDP as, the main opposition party. Yes, you can have many other political parties having one or two states, possibly, apart from Abuja, and then, of course, many other political parties wanting to contest election at, very lower level and have members in both national and state houses of assembly. Now, if you have political parties that are built on the basis of this fractured and imaginary or emergency arrangement by political class, then obviously you will expect crisis upon crisis time after time. Now, let's not, look at the crisis in the APC now as something that is unique to the Nigeria. In the last 23 years, we remember the 16 years of the PDP administration, the form of crisis that characterized the leadership of the parties. Remember there was a time that a PDP chairman was removed, right at the convention ground. So it's not new, it's not normal. Like I said, some of my colleagues there have tried to profile some of the reasons why we are in this crisis. Now, a party that is in government, as large as the All Progressive Congress, is obviously bound to have a lot of conflicting interests. Now, there are two fundamental issues that are happening here.
While Professor Kabir Batu, we'll just ask you to pause a while, and you have just raised the very next issue, which will hopefully put to another of our guests who has joined us, Professor Medana, who is Director of Organization at the APC National Secretariat. Let's hear your views on the issues at stake.
Having me, Cyril, I think I have listened to my colleagues and they have analyzed situation. They brought, let's say, history. But the situation in APC, if you could remember, CECPC is a creation of NEC. Article 13, 3, 1 to 5 of the party constitution created that CECPC to salvage the party. And there are a lot of things that happened. Let's just go back. When this party was at the verge of collapsing when the CECPC came in. And that's why there are a lot of things that needed to be done. If we look at it, it's the first time in the political history of Nigeria that a political party organized registration across the 120,000 polling units simultaneously. Then the now world congresses. You know, I've been saying it any platform I found myself. Election is not an event, it's a process. The process starts from the world congresses, from the registration of the members. Then secondly, there was world congresses in 8,809 wards, which was conducted successfully. Then the next thing was the local government congresses in 774 local governments, including 6 area councils in the FCT. Then the next one was 36 states where the state congresses were conducted. All these are built up to have the electoral college to the national convention. Now, why the shifting of dates or date changes? In this country, we have seen even the INEC, they sometimes, if they face challenges, they postpone election. Why? Because they don't want to create legal issue or constitutional crisis and so on and so forth. In this case, if you check the Article 12(4) of the party constitution, that is where the NWC are mentioned, that is the National Working Committee. If you check Article 12(6) of the party constitution, you have the zonal executives are mentioned in that one. So the party has to look at it horizontally and vertically to now consult legal expert, political risk assessment expert to look at the whole thing. If you could remember, as we said, APC is just 7 years old. From the beginning, in 2014, the first convention was just to participate in the 2015 election. That's why maybe APC did not conduct the zonal congresses at that material time. The second one was 2018 convention. At that material time, we had only one presidential candidate, the president of the country, who was given the first right of refusal, either to contest or not to contest. That's why there was not so much interest at that material time. Right now, there is so much interest. There are a lot of people interested in contesting election. Any mistake can lead to litigation. We have seen what happened in Zamfara State, where one of the party members took the party to court and we lost the seat. Thank God now, the governor has now decamped to the party. So the party must always take decision in the interest of the party. And if you are taking decision, sometimes you might not take that decision in the interest of another person. And the person might be angry. So the whole thing is based on constitutional and legal issue. That's why the party is taking this decision. That is, I think, my explanation on the.
Thank you very much. We'll return to other issues, but let's go over to Abeokuta and link up with Nisola Abiola. And easily the question here is, you've heard our other guests say, well, things like this are normal in the political climate. It's a learning process. All kinds of interests, and sometimes some will have their interests taken care of and some will not. Do you see this as a healthy development in Nigeria's political sphere at this point in time?
Well, I would say that our democracy is still evolving, and if there's anything, there's always room for improvement. And as the speaker before me noted, even INEC has had calls to reschedule elections from time to time. But I'm really hoping that this time around, with the new dates that has been communicated for our convention, there will be no further postponements, because there are quite a number of party members across the country who are looking forward to our leaders emerging through the constitutional process that we're all accustomed to. And we're a bit worried about the current situation of things. But with the communication, the most recent communication from our governors and from other leaders of the party, we're actually quite hopeful that this time around the convention will proceed as planned.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll return to you shortly. Well, no sooner than the party agreed to push the convention to March, the governors all converged on Abuja and held what was described as a crucial meeting. They've also been meeting with the president today, and we have some excerpts of that meeting with the president. Let's get to see excerpts of that meeting with the president today.
Mr. President reminded us of that we have produced a number of national chairmen by consensus. Baba Kande emerged as the pioneer chairman of the party by consensus. As His Excellency John Oyegun emerged by consensus. His Excellency Adams Oshimole emerged by consensus. So he is a believer in consensus as one of the options of producing leadership. And he urged us to explore consensus so that we can generate list, not while recognizing that many people who have indicated interest are equally competent, but knowing that just one person will occupy the office, consensus is part of our constitution, and he urged us to work towards consensus. And the governors, I have said it earlier, have also been working to ensure that as part of the equitable arrangement, zoning and consensus are incorporated so that we have done that at the lower levels, and even at the national level, I know it will serve us right and will achieve it. The date of the convention, the Caretaker Committee briefed of yesterday of their meeting, and they proposed March 26, 2022. And today the governors informed Mr. President that we have had the briefing from the Caretaker Committee and we are supportive of their position. Proposed zonal congresses not in the Constitution. I think there has been so much debate. Yesterday there was a statement to the effect that even the letter that had gone out was withdrawn. So, and zonal congresses are not explicitly stated in the Constitution, particularly how you do zonal congresses. And we have in the past done them with national convention, but nothing again in the Constitution stopped them from being done outside the national convention. But the final form will be decided given the input we have provided. The 22 governors of the APC are united. We are in total support of Mr. President. We are appreciative of his leadership. We commend him for his leadership. We are appreciative of the sacrifice of the National Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, and we thank them for the successes recorded under them. Our party, like I said, is greater and stronger with more members by the day.
All right. We've just listened to the explanation on what transpired at the meeting, but let me ask you this, Senator. You were a governor yourself. It's said that the party's governors are so powerful that they determine what happens. They influence all decisions, and that this was one of those attempts to influence decisions. Is this true?
Well, I don't think that is right because, you see, parties are governed by constitutions. And the constitution of every political party, including the PDP, specifically states that the president at the national level is the overall leader of the party. And at every state level, the governor is the leader of that party. So that they are key stakeholders in any discussion, any arrangement. That's why some people think that governors are overbearing in terms of decisions they have taken. But they are stakeholders as part of, like any other person. But they are leaders at their state levels. And therefore, if 22 leaders of the party come together and met with the national leader of the party, that decision is taken in the interest of the party. Because every governor will want his party to win election at his state. In his state. There's no way a governor will sit down and watch the party destroy itself, or some people trying to destroy the party. And that is why they are the key stakeholders. Once the convention is conducted, already we have done the ward congresses, we have done the local government congresses, and we have done the state congresses. So we have the state executive council of the party in place. The problem now is the zonal congresses. Like the governor of Kebbi State said, we used to have from APP, AMPP, CPC, APC, zonal congresses sometimes are conducted together with the national convention. Most of the time that was what has been done. But now this caretaker committee thought that because they want to shift the date, the date of convention, they don't want any litigation. So people to come and say, you have violated the constitution. They thought they can do the zonal congresses first. After zonal congresses, then they can now do the national convention. But I think whatever happens, the governors will always continue to have greater role as far as Nigerian democracy is concerned.
Yes, but what happens to the elected chairman? So perhaps you might want to think, why not scrap the position of a chairman and just
of the local governments?
No, and just make the governors.
No. Once there is a chairman, right. You see, this is a situation whereby there is no chairman. Once this is just a caretaker chairman, he's also a governor. But once the convention is conducted, the national chairman of a political party is stronger than all other organs of the party.
Okay, let's go over to Dr. Kelani Mohammed. And well, you've seen part of the explanation of what happened when the governors visited the president. And in your opening comments, you did raise some concerns about that too, about the activities of the governors. So what do you say now?
And then with what the former governor of Francis said, anything we want to do in life, we have to be honest, sincere, and put the fear of God first. Whether we like it or not in this country, the governors have the money and they have the influence. Look at the congresses they are mentioning now, from world level to local government to states. There are a lot of complaints everywhere. The committee that was set up by the current national chairman to go around, which was headed by Alhaji Abdullahi Adamu, he only went to these states to meet with the governors, leaving the grassroots. So people are actually complaining. You see, if we want to do things, democracy is all about the government for the people and the people. If we don't do that, we may be missing out. And we must have to bring the issue of nationalism, and strictly we have to do it the way the democracy put it. Okay, the delegates or the congresses that were held, forms were issued out in some states, but at the end of the day, the governors handpicked from those executive exco of all those states. People kept complaining. So what we want, we are not against shifting this convention to 26th of March. But what we are saying is the right thing must be done. Let this go. Okay, initially, we said we want local government autonomy in this country. The governors said no. They wanted even to go to court. We said give judiciary, your House of Assembly, give them autonomy. You said no. Now, we spoke about direct primaries where people will come, line up, and choose their, the people that will lead them. So all these things, whether we like it or not, we want APC to win in 2023. But we must be carried along. The party must be opened. Stakeholders must be carried along. Anything you want to do must be opened. Alhaji Dokura, you are gunning for the president of this country. I would like you know it, and you are a former governor of this country before, in Zamfara before. So, the powers that governors have today, nobody can challenge them. And that is what is happening now. They had their way. They said this thing should be shifted. PDP had their own convention. There was no any rigmarole and any quagmire. Everything went smoothly. Why can't we as a ruling party show an example? That is the question I want to put to him.
Let's go over to Professor Kabir Batu in Kaduna. And, well, you heard the comments. And you think that with the political arrangement in Nigeria today, it is necessary that those who are elected to run the party's affairs should have less say than those who are elected public officers? I mean, which one should really control the party machinery? Is it the party chairman or those who were elected on the party's platform to run government? Because here people easily want to make a difference between government and the party in power.
Again, this brings us back to the issue I was raising. When a political party is solidly in place, when the political system is functional and vibrant, the political party leadership, in fact, sit on top of those that are elected by the people under the banner of their political party. A good example here, in the Second Republic, whenever the MPN was having its national caucus meeting, it was meeting at the national headquarters, and the chairman was Adisa Kilui. It wasn't President Shehu Shagari that was chairing that meeting. But this whole permutation changed with the emergence of the PDP in 1999. And the first time they went to do the meeting, and President Obasanjo refused to allow Solomon Lat to chair the meeting because he was the president and commander-in-chief of the party. And the new nomenclature, now, whether we like it or not, there is a very close relationship between the leadership of the party and those who are elected under the banner of the party at any level of political authority. Yes, people keep complaining about the strength of the governor, forgetting that Nigeria is a federal system. And a federal system is normally comprised of units that make up that particular system. And these units are headed by a certain level of political authorities as well as governmental institutions. Now, if governors are the head of these units, 36 in number, and 22 of these states, for God's sake, are under the banner of the All Progressive Congress, it means, therefore, that they control absolute majority or near absolute majority of the totality of the Nigerian state. And you expect, therefore, whatever is happening within the vicinities of these states, be it within the political realm, be it within governance and administration, then the governor and the leadership of the party must pay strategic interest in that. It's not possible for anybody to stand up and say that
Prof, one quick question here. Is this kind of arrangement peculiar to Nigeria? Prof, yes, Professor Batu, I just wanted to chip in a quick one here. This arrangement that you've talked about, that it follows if you have 22 of them, is this kind of arrangement peculiar to Nigeria?
There is no two systems. There's no two political systems across the globe that are similar. When people talk about power shift, when people talk about, certain things that are convenient to them, they try to say that every system must be run on the basis of its peculiarities. But where their interests are affected, they become very violent, politically violent on it. So this is the Nigerian scenario. This is the way this particular republic was entrenched since 1999, and that is the way it is going. I'm saying that from 2015 to date, in fact, for the first time in the history of this republic, it was President Buhari that did not receive any input from any of the APC state governors before he constituted his first cabinet. And even after winning election in 2019. So you can see that to a great extent, the powers, the influence of state governors had under the leadership of the PDP was even severely eroded under this government. I appreciate what Engineer Kelani is saying. There is a lot of politics is about reconciliation of interest. There is no way 2-3 people will converge in one place looking for a particular issue, and there will be no, discontentment, there will be no anger, there will be no. So, but the way and manner that this should be, in fact, what I think the Caretaker Committee and the rest of the governors and the leadership of the APC should pay more attention to between now and the convention and even after countdown to the 2023 election will be on getting these members that are aggrieved. There is nothing anybody can do to erode the powers of a sitting governor as far as the political activities. Just like, Senator Bokura said, it is not possible. There is no governor out of these 22 governors that will want to see his state, his party losing his state in the election in 2022. And in fact, they are even trying to take more. And you will realize also that it is as a result of this obvious, crisis of leadership within the party that led the APC to lose several states, in 20. So, which means the margin of victory, if the leadership of the party countdown to the 2019 election was as effective as it ought to be, then we will be talking about 26, 27, 28, even more states of the federation under, the ambit of the party. So the governors have to be strong. I think it's just about opening up to understand what are the grievances, what are the issues, and for these governors to try to bring on board, and for the Caretaker Convention Committee also to try to bring in these groups that are, apparently antagonistic because they are not happy with one decision or the other, so as, to make progress within the party. Otherwise, over debating on this issue of there is nothing anybody can do to deal with the influence of the heads of the federating units as far as the federal government is concerned. And this is their time because it's now come down to election. They are there. They have, tell me probably apart from Kaduna that conducted local government elections, and you have, the opposition PDP having some local government areas. I want to know in which other states in Nigeria, under both the APC and the PDP, that local government elections were conducted, and you have opposition party taking 4 or 5 local government councils. I think there is none. So let us appreciate what the magnitude of the problem is. Let the leadership of the party at various levels try to bring in all the discontent, the voices that are unhappy, those that feel shortchanged, together with a view to reconciling their interests so that the interest of the party is advanced.
Hey, let's go over to Professor Medana, the Director of Organization. March 26 now. Can the party and its faithful and the rest of the political watchers say to themselves, now this is it, and there won't be further disruptions?
Schedule of activities of the party. The activities commences on the 24th of this month and will terminate on the 26th of March. Definitely, those activities, second activity is the stakeholders meeting at the various zones. That is where, let me give you for instance, if you go to the Northwest, the 7 states in that Northwest have to sit down to decide what position goes to which state and what position goes to the other state, because you have positions of the national vice chairman and the zonal legal advisor, zonal youth leader, and so on and so forth. They have to sit down and look at it. So that is the second thing to do. Then such resolution will be communicated to the National Secretariat. CEPC now will adopt that as the working module and publish same resolution. That resolution now will be used to sell the form. So if I'm from Kaduna, then I know which position has been agreed upon for we the Kaduna people, then will now purchase form and agreed. But remember, this party always encourage consensus because it's enshrined in Article 20 of the party constitution, where people will sit down, discuss within themselves and agreed upon themselves and said, oh, let's go to that. when Dr. Kalani talked about the direct primaries, it may interest him to know that the recent primaries election in both Ikiti and Oshun, direct primaries were conducted seamlessly and the winner was declared. So it's enshrined in that very Article 20A of the party constitution. There are 3 methods of electing an individual or doing primaries. 1, direct; 2, indirect; the 3rd one is the consensus. And the party always encourage consensus. So there are activities lined up until we get to the 26th of the March. And after that, there is an appeal committee, even after the 26th, to listen to grievances, if there are such, that arise from the convention. Then inauguration of the new substantive National Working Committee. So everything is going on. An issue of reconciliation, as Professor Mato raised, is an ongoing. There are post-convention reconciliation that will go on. And definitely, this is what the party will be doing, bringing people together. Even if you can see, some states that we do not have governors, the congresses went seamlessly, and we have winners because in those states, they sat down and agreed on consensus. The states we have problem, or there was court case that was so pronounced, is Kano State. And after the Court of Appeal judgment, the governor of Zamfara State was asked to go to Kano to call the parties together to consult them. And I think that consultation is still going on for the people that let's work together and have one formidable party. Because I want to say this again, is when you have a formidable party that you can aspire for your aspiration. Party wrangling, inter-party kind of distinct problems we are facing in Nigeria is not just common to this country. We have seen where Republican parties, they're having problems between the Tea Party, the Trump camp. We have seen the Democrats too. The Conservative Party, they're having problems too in UK. So that is party for you. That is how party affairs sometimes. It's just like in the game of football, where the team, during training, everyone wants to have a jersey. But once you're facing the opponent, you all come together and face that opponent to defeat him. And that is what the party is trying to do now.
All right, thank you very much. Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State was one of the APC governors who met with the president. Let's listen to his take on what the meeting achieved.
That the fear of Nigerians is whether this government, this party will not go beyond the tenure of our president. I think that from the progress report read by our chairman, and from several assumptions and also several reports that were seen, what tremendous efforts the federal government is doing. And again, we're already going around commissioning projects here and there in all the various states. There is no doubt, although we were not specific, as to which reason will make us not to come back again. But as far as we are concerned, based on our assessment and based on what the federal government is doing tremendously, there is able hope that this party, this government will move beyond our president. And I think that is his efforts, and that is what he has been saying, that by the grace of God, this government will move beyond his tenure.
When? Tomorrow? Next tomorrow?
Okay, Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau there, giving his own impressions. Now, let's quickly go to Rinsola Abiola. You've heard some of the very interesting takes that we've had here. For instance, Professor Medana was saying that in states where the party did not have governors, the congresses went seamlessly. There was hardly any trouble. And that's what Nigerians would look at. That could this not, all this trouble not be because The jostle for political office and what some Nigerians call the spoils of office have become the motivating factors for people to struggle and fight throughout, and when there isn't, things are calm.
I would say that in states where we do not have governors, where we have other parties holding sway, I think there is an understanding by all the different factions, so to speak, all the different power blocks, that they need to work together to be able to either reclaim power in those states or get into the number one office in that state. So I think that's probably why you'll find party members in states where we don't have governors doing their best to put up a united front. We had divisions in a couple of states during the congresses, and that's not divorced from the fact that quite a number of powerful people believe they should have control of the party, and perhaps issues with power sharing, the winner takes all kind of approach to politics and power. And I just feel like perhaps we all could learn a thing or two from those states that have been able to put their differences aside and work together and put general, the welfare of the party first. But then at the same time, I don't think that things are actually half as bad as people tend to claim. And in politics, really, it is inevitable that conflicts will arise. Because even in those states that you speak of where we do not have sitting governors from the APC, there are quite a number of divisions within the party structure in those states. There are different power blocks, everyone just really tolerating each other and trying to work together. So in politics, a divergence of opinions is something that is bound to happen. So what matters eventually is that in moments where we need to work together, we're able to cast our differences aside and unite around a common goal, which is winning elections, fielding candidates, protecting the interests of the party in the long run. So I think that's what matters. And politicians, you'll find that they usually have a way around these things. And when it's time for everyone to fall back together and focus on the common goal, they're usually able to do that.
Okay, at this point, let's go back to another excerpt from the meeting the governors had with the president, and we'll hear the views of Governor Nasser El-Rufai of Kaduna State. Let's get to see that, and then we'll take some other issues right after that.
There were some governors that felt that we should not have the convention until we resolved all the Congress's issues in some states. As you know, in some states, these matters are even in court. So some governors held the view that we should wait until all these are resolved. And this is not born out of any agenda or selfishness. It is just a realistic proposition to avoid us violating any laws or putting our party structures or elected candidates in danger. So yes, there was differences in opinion about timing. Some of us are saying the Constitution allows us to have convention even if 3 or 4 states have issues that are unresolved. Okay? While others are saying, no, let us finish all the reconciliations and we do this convention. After all, there is no time limit for the convention as long as we do it before the time for the primaries. So that was the difference. This is what the media called divided governors. In a democratic setting, there is no way you can have 22 governors plus the deputy governor of Anambra State, we are 23 now, agreeing on every issue. We can have differences, but to call it division, I think is using a word too far, but I went back to it because you asked the question, and it's important to be upfront. But after our meeting to deliberate on the proposal by the National Caretaker Committee and our briefing with Mr. President today, we are all on the same page. We have agreed a zoning formula for all the 6 geopolitical zones, and essentially we swapped northern zones will take positions that Southern zones had in the last 8 years, and vice versa. It's a very simple, equitable, and fair formula. We will now go back and consult at the zonal level and look at the positions that are available, and the process of the convention preparation will start in earnest. So by the grace of God, on the 26th of March, we would have done our national convention. Whether we'll do the zonal convention before that or do it at the same time, again, the Constitution is silent, so as our chairman said, we can decide either way. But let nobody leave this room with any doubt that the progressive governors are united on the convention, on the future of the party.
Well, sometimes the media becomes the whipping boy when issues like this put out, and it's either the media gets accused of having played up the issues, but then there are instances where reports become so glaring. For instance, the case of consensus, which Professor Medana talked about. Let's go to Dr. Keilani Mohammed there and say, well, in the issue of consensus, there has also been reports of abusing the whole process, where people who hold the power, like Professor Kabir Matu said, who will continue to hold this power, decide on their own to handpick. And you also find cases where you're talking of consensus, people cannot even afford to even purchase forms, and therefore one person says, well, there's a provision for us to reach consensus, and since I am the powerful person and everything reverts to my table, this is what I decide. What do you say to that in case of abusing of consensus?
Duty that follows the issue of consensus is now unanimous. For example, we started a movement with President Muhammadu Buhari, APP, AMPP, we came to CPC, and now APC. So we APC members, we felt, we have been shortchanged. So the party chairman that we want to have consensus on now should be from CPC. This person that are, because ACN had it before, BC Akande, as Professor Kabiru Matu mentioned, Oshomole, ACN, the current chairman, the chair Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee is from ACN. We have not gotten it, and we want to have it so that we've been saying change, change, change. This change, we want to do it to the best of our knowledge to give Nigerians what they want. If we have somebody from CPC, we will be able to deliver the dividends of democracy more to Nigerians. So maybe in the next interview, we are going to mention the person, but we have some people who came out from CPC, or you want me to mention one? Well, if you want me to mention somebody who was our former governor of Nasarawa State, El Makura, is CPC.
You're saying your consensus candidates, and what we are saying is, are there guarantees that the process of consensus candidates will not be abused by the people who have the powers to do that? I don't want to mention their names, since Professor Matu says there will always be a key factor.
The governors, and I believe they will be going for El Makura. Despite the fact that there is skirmishes between the governors and the National Assembly, I think they need to come together, as my colleague here has said. You see, it's the beauty of democracy to have crisis, to have acrimony, but we must disagree to agree. So this time around, we have agreed with the governors, as Professor Mato has said, they have the key to everything. But that is not tenable in America, where we copy. Their democracy, at the end of the day, if people are aggrieved, they will come down, sit with them, and then they will now listen to what people actually need to move their parties and their government forward. So I think consensus, we have gotten a consensus candidate, El Makura.
All right, we'll take a short break at this point in time. When we return, the phone lines will be open. You'll get to see the numbers on your screen, and you can call in and be part of the discussion here. So stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough, and I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am Bilal. Who are you?
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Right. Thanks for staying with us. And this segment now is where we get the views of other people who want to contribute to the discussion in the studio here. The phone numbers will be on your screen. You can call in and be part of this discussion. But as we always do every Tuesday, we remind you that if you call in and your call gets through to the studio, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. We also encourage you to go straight to the point. Do not bother about the greetings. Hello is enough. You don't have time. Others are waiting on the line to get through. So do us a favor. Just cut down and go straight to the point, and many more opinions will come in at this point. So thank you very much. All right. We have our very first call coming through. Alhaji Usman calling in from Katsina.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Cyril.
Go ahead.
How are you? My regards to the panel. Well, the APC dilemma, or what can I call it? Look at this party. It has been strangled by the governors, controlled by the governors. There is no way where a party will progress if the party leadership does not have supremacy over its members. We cannot go on like this. Look, let the people choose who they want, who they want to lead them. Look at what is happening now. I heard Professor Amato and the other fellow and His Excellency All of them are talking the same thing. But we look at it in a more wider perspective. Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. Any political party that will rule Nigeria should have its strength from the grassroots. PDP failed because of so many interests like this one APC is facing now. If PDP will gather and make its house correct everything, honestly speaking, APC is losing 2023 election. I'm telling you, write it down. Nigeria is not a toy that you people can just be playing with it. We are tired. We are tired. The president wants to sign the electoral bill, but these governors are pressurizing him not to do it because it did not favor them. Why are we just beating around the bush while this is what to beat? Cyril, thank you very much for
Thank you very much, Alhaji Usman from Katsina. Well, let's go over to Honisola Abiola and put this question. Yeah? Can we confidently say that the social contract between the people and their elected leaders has been fulfilled at the levels of local governments, the states, and at the national level, across board? Would you say that's happening?
Well, I'm a huge proponent of being more active as citizens. For the most part, I would say that a lot of people tend to pay a lot of attention to the federal government, mostly while ignoring those elected to represent and protect their interests at state level, both in the legislature and in their respective state executive councils. And I would say that this lack of scrutiny at that level has left a lot of room for leaders elected at that level to perhaps not be as serious as those at the federal level, where lots of people tend to direct most of their angst and their attention generally. However, at the same time, I cannot give a general analysis of performance at state level, because we actually do have some states with officials who perform much better than others and who have demonstrated a level of accountability that perhaps isn't being observed elsewhere. So I would say that generally Nigerians need to realize that one, they need to take their civic responsibilities more seriously by turning up on election day, voting in much larger numbers. The level of voter apathy is something extremely concerning. And when you refuse to vote to even begin with, there is a very high probability that you're not going to be interested in the process of governance, even after whoever emerges might have been sworn into office. And secondly, we need to understand that we might not all be politicians, but we said the same level of scrutiny that is given to the National Assembly should be extended to state legislatures, and the same level of scrutiny given to the president, where everything is dropped at the president's table, where everything is blamed on the president, should also be extended to every step of the way.
Okay, let's return to the phones, and we have Chris calling in from Lagos. Hello, Chris, go ahead.
Okay, so good evening. Please, about these governors, I don't know why the governors cannot allow the party to grow up. Because even in my own state, Imo State, there's a battle between Governor Uzodinma and the Rochas. I don't know whether two of them cannot come together. I bet you two of them can come together in Imo State. No party can win Imo State apart from APC. But look at what is happening there. They are fighting over supremacy who will become the head of the APC in Imo State. And other states like that. And this APC we love so much, and I don't know what is happening now. Please, I think that they should allow certain things to go. You forgo certain things. Not everything that you want to be there. Share powers, so that all of you will have a winning team. Not to leave it for one person alone. It's not good. And it's not good. I pray that all of them will understand that God will help us in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Chris calling in from Lagos, Senator.
He's talking about sharing powers between two individuals. We are talking about the whole political arrangement. The governor of Imo State today, Hope Odzuma, is the leader of the party of APC by APC constitution in Imo State. Rochas was a former governor, and therefore if he recognizes his position as a former governor, somebody has left office, I think there should be no problem. The governor should be the leader of the party, while the former governor is a stakeholder, very important person that can reach the governor and advise him. And when there is a meeting, I think they will definitely call him to discuss issues. So there shouldn't be any conflict between the two of them.
We have Johnson on the line from Jos. Hello, Johnson. Go ahead.
Yeah, what really happened is that I'm trying to contribute my own quota basically on the discussion that is on board. Hello?
Johnson.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that, definitely APC is trying to have some problem because the governors have already made themselves as emperors and kings. And ultimately, they are not really carrying the people alone. And they are forgetting so soon that Buhari was a movement. It wasn't a political party issue. He was a movement, and a movement in the sense that people follow him, the masses follow him. It was not the elite, the elites that followed him. And the way the elites are trying to make these things move, automatically the masses are watching. And I've not seen anybody with such a kind of crowd that Mr. President had before. So if we cannot be able to bring our house together, and people are starting thinking of imposing themselves, the masses may turn their back against them. Because the truth still remains is that all that is happening is that people are watching. If the governor will sit down, bring delegates on his own, bring escorts on his own, regardless of the stakeholders, I don't think the party is ready to reconcile anything. That is why we are saying if they would have conducted an election and then give a party chairman, hello?
Yes, we're listening to you. Go ahead, Johnson.
Because the question simply remains is that, you see, like now, the convention could have come and gone. And then if you bring somebody who is already used to what is happening in the political party, like now, Oyegun, BC Akande come from LCN, Oyegun come from ANPP, Oshomole come from LCN. The president Caretaker is from LCN. And it was a matter of three political parties. So at least Almakwa should be given a chance. He is one of the founding fathers that knows about the templates. And if we give it to him, I know he will immediately set a reconciliation team. And if he set a reconciliation team, they will go further so that they can be able to reconcile themselves, because right now there's a problem. And he seems to have a crowd. Like the masses are with him.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Johnson from Jos. The numbers are still on your screen. Let's keep the lines coming up. Just one quick one, because Rinsola might be leaving us soon. I'd like to put this question to you before you leave, and that is, do you think that under this arrangement, the voices of women are being adequately heard?
Women are organizing at levels that we previously weren't. Women have been organizing for a long time, and I think the lessons that we have drawn from the past are being put into consideration in designing the strategy going forward. In politics, it is a whole lot of different groups who have reservations with the way things are being done. Young people are organizing, women are organizing, people with disabilities are organizing, everyone asking for an adequate number of seats at the table, for adequate representation, for equitable representation when it comes to participating in our democracy. And I would say that women are a lot more active now, and they're at the forefront of campaigning for enhanced representation in decision-making structures, both at the elective and appointive levels. I'm talking about political office, both through appointed positions and through the ballot. And I'm actually quite hopeful that the campaign for women's inclusion will yield good results, the same way I'm hopeful that young people, particularly, will be better represented in the leadership of our country at all levels going forward. And with the party convention I'm set to hold in about a month, I'm also quite hopeful that we'll have more young people emerging in the leadership of the party. We've been lobbying for quite a while to ensure that young people are better represented at the National Working Committee and in the National Executive Council. And we're actually quite hopeful, based on the feedback we've gotten from our leaders, including President Muhammadu Buhari, that we'll have more young people emerging as leaders within the party this time around. And of course, we've done our homework with engaging our governors also. And I'm again hopeful that our campaign will yield good results, both for young people and for women.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ola Abiola, joining us via Zoom. Thank you for being part of this discussion. We sure. Okay. All right. Back to the phones. We have Suleiman calling in from Yobe. Thanks for staying on the line. Hello. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Series. Good evening.
Evening. Right, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Series. Good evening.
Good evening. Go on.
The question that I want to ask or elide through this is you have mentioned in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or the Constitution of the party, you have mentioned of direct, indirect, and consensus. What first we're going to look at the advantage and disadvantage of the direct elections. When it happens to be that we are going to practice a direct elections in Nigeria, it's not going to favor on us, because the direct election, if it happens to be now, we have franchised our vote to somebody that has never gone to school. Examples, somebody that is on the road, when we apply like that of direct elections, when we apply somebody that is not educated, how can, whenever he becomes a leader, rule? When you look at the national grid, let's assume now, I went and voted for somebody that is selling shy on the streets to represent me in the National Assembly. If he doesn't have the technical know-how, that's the knowledge, how can he represent me well there? He cannot do that. Whenever I vote somebody, and it happens to be become a governor that is not educated, that is in the direct elections, how is he going to govern me in that government? But the indirect elections and the consensus are the most profitable methods of elections. Why? Because most of the people that we exercise our franchise on them, they are educated. They know how to rule well. But when we go with direct elections, most of them, we can cast our vote to those that they are not educated. So consensus and that of indirect is more profitable in Nigerian context. So like the other person is saying that the governors are doing maneuvering. No, it's not maneuver. The past and the present governor, they are doing the right thing. Why? Because they are going for the two. The Constitution prevents do anyone. That's the indirect and the consensus. That's the best method of doing the right thing at the right time. Thank you, Mr. Shields.
Right. Thank you very much, Suleiman from Yobe. And yes, we just go over to Professor Medana. And you heard the last caller.
Members of the party in a ward that will come out together who are registered members to vote. The difficulties are that of security, then the challenges of logistics. That is the only thing. Let me give example with these two states that I've mentioned before. We conducted direct election in Osun and Ekiti states. If you go to that of Osun, the names of the registered members of that ward were pasted on the wall. They will come and check their names, proceed for accreditation, After registration, they queue behind the person, the poster, or if he's present, if it is his ward, they queue behind him. Then they'll be counted and entered into the result sheet. From there, you go to collection at the local government collection center, then to the state. So direct is where you have every member of the party to participate in choosing who should govern him, who should hold the ticket for his party. Then,
did that throw up people who were not qualified to run for office or to run for the elections?
Right. But
we'll get this glitch in the audio right, and then we'll get back to you with that question. But we have Kanayo who's calling in from Abuja here. Hello, Kanayo, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, Kanayo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, good. This is Kanayo from Abuja.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Good evening. I want to say that in APC convention, can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. What I want to say that the APC convention, I think is coming up. I think next week. And then what we need, Nigeria need is a peaceful convention, and definitely now it should not be politics is not do or die affairs. So you have to ensure that whatever they are going to do there should be a kind of begin to serve like it's not a politics, it's not a do and affair, and let it be peaceful. That's the hope of Nigeria. Let us they're doing the APC convention, then let the other parties should emulate it, and it should be a kind of serving as a different to other people. And let it be peaceful. That is the joy of joy of us as a citizen. So can you hear me? So that is the only thing. We pray that let the convention be peaceful and it should be resolute, and let us all be as a party, and that is what my advice to you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Right. Thank you very much. Let's go back to Professor Kabiru Mato in Kaduna. And the question here is, can we talk about an ideology? Because what it does seem is that almost all the parties are just about one thing, securing political power. And when individuals cannot actualize their desires in any of those parties, they switch to the other. And anyone that provides the platform for them to achieve their aims. Nobody talks about what ideology this party or that party is preaching. Is that part of the problem here?
I don't think so, because the politics of ideology, as you know, was characterized by events of the past. You know, had it that it's either a party wants to use, wanted to use, socialist methodology in achieving or delivering the dividends of democracy to the citizenry, or will go on free market economy. I think we've gone past that now. The main item on the agenda now is how actually, what are the issues? What are the issues that each political party, is conceiving, and what are the ways and methods that these political parties, desire to pursue and provide for the citizenry this, dividends of democracy when it's eventually elected, or candidates when they are eventually elected into no matter what level of representation. So the ideological debate as far as party politics is concerned, I think is gradually denudating. It's not rearing its face anymore within the political landscape, not just of Nigeria, but many other countries now. I think the issues now that the human race is facing are multidimensional, they are also multi-sectoral. What political parties do in this case is to simply come out with ways and means, their perceptions, their views, and how, if they are given the mandate, they will go about resolving these, various problems and providing the goodies that members of the society will require. But this, strong dogma of ideological inclination of political parties, as it used to be, is no longer a major item on the agenda of, global politics generally, not even to talk about, our local, national politics in Nigeria or any other country for that matter. That's why you don't hear the crisis between the Western alliance led by the United States of America and Ukraine. I mean, Russia over Ukraine now is not on the basis of ideology, but it's sort of, a concrete issue of strategic national security implications of, between Russia on one hand and the Western alliance led by the United States of America. So even within the Nigerian conception, it is not about which ideology. It's about the sincerity of purpose on the part of the political establishment of perceiving and understanding what are the real issues, and when these issues are concretely understood, what are the methods, what are the ways and means that the political parties, when they eventually form government, would be able to deploy in resolving and addressing these, major societal challenges. I think that's the focus now.
Let's go back to the phones. We have Ruben calling in from Enugu. Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
So I want to ask if the difference between that indirect election and direct election.
All right.
Hello?
Yes, that's it. Just your question. The difference between the indirect and direct. Okay. Let's put it to the APC Director of Organization, Professor Medana.
At a particular ward will come out and vote for their candidates. They will queue in accredited, now queue behind the person they want to fly their flag. Then indirect is where you have elected delegates that form an electoral college, be it maybe House of Reps election, governorship election, chairmanship election, but the councillorship election is direct, mandatory direct, there is no indirect in councillorship election, only chairmanship upward. So these delegates will now assemble in a particular venue where they will be accredited, given ballot papers to elect the candidate of the party. This is the difference. The first one is the ward members or every member of the party that will participate in electing the candidate. These are the, let's say this is the difference between the two. Then when you have consensus, where all the people vying for the seat and sit down with stakeholders, they agreed. But in APC, the interesting thing in APC constitution, after agreeing on one candidate, the constitution says there must be voice vote. That is an affirmation, so that to demonstrate that that person is not an imposition. So it has to be contained in the report. That is the difference. So Article 20A of the party's constitution has given that three methods of election. And the same thing in our Electoral Act, they are enshrined in our Electoral Act, direct and in.
And calling in is Christian from Lagos. Hello, Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Nigerian. I'm talking about the state and the other state election. I'm talking about free and fair election. And make an effort for Nigerians. We need We need fuel for Nigeria, please. Masses are suffering.
Well, thank you.
Masses are suffering. For fuel issue, for Lagos State fighting every space station everywhere in Lagos State.
Okay.
We need fuel, please.
Okay. All right, Christian from Lagos, I appreciate your concern, but this is why a discussion like this is taking place, so that the people can have the kind of representation that will respond to their needs and aspirations. So thank you for calling in. Tonight it's about the convention of the governing party that has been shifted. And so if we come to Senator, Ahmed Sanu, who's here with us, from what Christian was saying, it is always the question about serving the people. But many Nigerians will say the politicians care too much about the spoils of office and not about, engaging with the electorate and providing the service which they promised to do.
Sometimes is a result of what other people, the same people who are voting the political leaders, their activities, their actions, their interests. You find that somebody is voted and is not allowed to do his functions according to the law. The patronage, they want him to be, so many people will come, they are interested in employment, even if there is no vacancy. There is a lot of pressure on political office holders. You elect somebody, he's supposed to follow the due process of the law. There has to be a process of budgeting and a process of contract award. You have to go through tenders, through due processes, but these are not allowed in most cases. So if a political office holder does not look at himself and see that he wants to leave a legacy, he wants to make sure that he operates according to law, and he listens to those people who are pushing towards asking for the selfish and personal interest to override all other interests, you have this kind of problem. But the pressure is enormous. The resources are very limited. You find that the governors, the local government chairmen are having allocation from federal account. The resource base of most of the states, internal revenue, is very low. So you find that the struggle for wealth, for resources, is the competition is so high that the governors are put in a box that they have to sometimes deviate and behave somehow. And that is why some governors are being looked at as if they are behaving as if they are above everybody. Okay. But actually it's just the pressure of office.
We have another call coming through. This one is from Masaoud, calling in from Zamfara. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. So I'm very happy for this issue because we people from Zamfara State, we did not see this political parties before. This APC, where they say they want to make consensus, we are very happy for it because before we did not see the party.
Oh dear. Masaoud, are you still on the line? Hello, go ahead. We're listening to you. Are you still on?
Let's go.
Oh dear, I think we lost that call from Masaoud, who's calling in from Zamfara. Just try and call back, and we'd like to hear what you have to say. This is all about the convention, party politics, and convention of the APC. Dr. Kailani is still with us here, and what we have witnessed so far tonight has been some of the people calling in to identify major issues to deal with party politics. Now, would you say that the political class are addressing these challenges and in the way they ought to?
I cannot say that, but before that, let me answer Professor Mato. The question you're asking about ideology is something to do with when you have a principle, or that principle, you must have to imbibe it and then work it correctively and positively to touch the lives of the people. You don't need to move from one party to another. That means you don't even know what you are doing. So it's from, you know, he mentioned about Ukraine, America, and Russia. That is all about interest. It's interest. Ideology, follow ideology, and help the people. That is what it's supposed to mean. Then on the issue of party politics, you see, when we talk, they say we are radicals, we are this, we are that. But the truth must be told all the time. We went around this country with President Muhammadu Buhari, I think for 16 years, and we promised the people. President Muhammadu Buhari is one out of all of them. He's honest and sincere, and he wants the right thing to be done. But look at the governor. Let me come back again. They always wait for convention, for grant from the federation. Now what they are sharing from FAC is no more there. They have to look inwards. We are blessed in this country. We have a lot of solid minerals, and so there is insecurity. People don't even want to go to the farm again, but that was what sustained us before. So let them look inward, create industries and companies where our teeming youths will get work. For example, a sitting governor was given a bailout, intervention, grant from the federation account. For example, maybe 500 billion in 7 years. And he expended only about 250 billion. The remaining 250, where is it? What we are saying, if you perform well, you don't need to be afraid. So they still have time. And even most of the ministers, Mr. President appointed, we don't know 80% of them. We have been saying change in this country for 16 years before God gave us this mantle of leadership. So the way they are doing, one minister can help 1,000 people, which will trickle down. They don't do it. There is only about family and friends. So they must have to change so that our government, as we are living, we have to leave a legacy that people will be proud of and be happy. The propensity and the mobility of how these leaders are behaving, when they are there, they become thing gods. Let them rethink that they were voted through campaign. They went from house to house, and then God, with His infinite mercy, gave them the leadership. Some of them, they don't even come until after 4 years when they are voted.
All right.
And
let's return to the phones. Sorry, I have to ask you to hang on a while. Let's get Okeke, who's calling in from Anambra. Hello, Okeke. Go ahead.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Nigerians. Please, these governors have refused to separate their person from the office they occupy. Therefore, because of that, they refuse to take it. When they come out from office, they take this to they refuse to make. This will affect them. Because you can stay there forever. You can look at the issue of local government autonomy, judicial autonomy, and now the signing of the electoral bill. The difference between PDP and DPT is just the man who stands there. That's all. And that's why I love it. One thing Buhari should to the masses to sign this electoral bill into law. Ignore these governors. And one other, if I should suggest this issue of indirect primaries, you will even be expunged from there. Let them pay. Let them bring that money and share the crowd that will come for direct primaries. Let me know how they can succeed, so that these masses will be spread from the grip of the governors. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, KK, for calling in. Thank you. Well, Professor Kabir Matu, let's return to you in Kaduna. And there are one or two issues raised from your comments. You'd like to comment on them, particularly on the issue of the governors and the powers they wield. And, of course, the matter of responding to the needs of the people, because if you look at it, needs have basically remained the same year in, year out.
Well, I hope, Cyril, we're talking about the genuine interest of the generality of what we call the common man, not our individual personal interests. And once they are not met, then of course we turn and try to locate who provides the political leadership within the local government or the state, because it's easier for you to reach local government chairman and the governor than to go upstairs. But I want to think that the entire problems that we face as a people, as far as the aspirations of the citizen is concerned, have to do with the fact that Nigerians desire good life, and it's really not easy. Senator Yerima just spoke about the immense pressure and problems that people who find themselves in political authority, especially at the level of our governors, find themselves in whenever they are there. Most of them are politicians, and because they are politicians, there are a lot of things that they see obviously as wrong, but because they desire to retain their places, they desire to win election, they desire to have their political party continuously accepted in their states, they leave what they are supposed to do and do otherwise what very few privileged individuals within their political enclave desire them to do. So one of the major crises that governance in this country has faced in the last 22, 23 years, and even before that, has been the absence of genuine technocrats or people who do not care. Once you are able to secure political authority from the electorate, then of course you take decisions on the basis of your deductions and understanding of what the problems are, with a view to providing solutions to the problems of the generality of the people. I live in Kaduna and I see what's happening in Kaduna, and that purely reflects this desire. Kaduna has been here since colonial period, for instance. The rate of, we've had elections just like any other state in this country, especially from 1999 to date. But it was only in 2015 that we secure a political leadership that actually faced the bull took the bull by the horns by ensuring that the nitty-gritty desire of the individuals. Let me give you an example. It's hypocritical for any government to think that you can have an over-bloated workforce and then have a lot of money to be able to provide schools, to provide for hospitals, provide water, electricity, and roads to the teeming population in your state, regardless of how much you get from the federation account, regardless of what is being generated internally as your own revenue. Therefore, what do you do in this case? In Kaduna, I've seen a situation where the workforce was drastically reviewed and sized to provide for the basic, necessities of government machineries to work. And in that, a lot of resources have been liberated. If you've been to Kaduna in the last 1 or 2 years, and you see the quantum development in terms of physical infrastructure, in terms of investment in education, healthcare, and then human capital that has been going on, you will understand that of course it requires it. But this can only happen if the political leadership will give a damn. Let me give you an example. Before the 2019 election, in Kaduna State, we are the third most populous.
The line, Professor Mato, we'll return to you just after this call. The caller has been waiting for quite a while. Andrew, calling in from Benue. Once we're done with Andrew, we'll come back and take the concluding part of your contribution. Andrew, go ahead.
Evening, Nigerians.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to talk about the interference of the governors in party affairs, especially as concerns the convention of APC.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are into this APC now because of the President Muhammadu Buhari. He's only named in APC. Apart from him, if you look at, apart from Zulu, the governor of Yobe State, and of course the vice president, for some of us are already lose hope in whatever is there. Even remember the president just told us of recent that he was age, so it's not of his size,
and he's being disturbed about his age. He's no longer strong as to do other things. So we are expecting that the governors will be able to come together and forge a common front, a front that will be able to take APC beyond 2023. But the way they are going, PDP has already planned their conventions, completed their conventions, and strategically positioned to take over power. And there's another thing that is coming, the third force. By the time the APC disintegrates, already we have 3 parties in one party, already clamoring to be chairman of APC. SCN is talking of the CPC and co. By the time they are able to resolve this crisis, and at the end of the day, we will speak, APC will not be able to have a very cogent convention and be able to take over power in 2023. The way I'm looking at it, it's not possible. The way I'm looking at it, if going forward, we may have different divisions that at the end of the day may result to the breakage of that party. And apart from Buhari as we speak, there's no formidable individual in the APC, like the governor and senator that is there. He just mentioned what they mentioned about how the governors are holding power and the way he said as if it's a birthright of the governors. No, it's not. If you hold power, you are holding power to represent the people, and you are governing the people you are serving. You shouldn't take everything, not the winner will take all. No. You should be able to delegate powers to either your senators, House of Reps, and co. So that together you'll be able to move the party. You can't move alone. You must move with people along you. So that is just my take. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew from Benue. Well, we promised we'll return to Professor Kabir Matu to conclude on what he was putting across. But good enough, you can hear the last caller, the way he went as well. And that's been, the sum of what we've heard from majority of those who have called in so far.
That's what I'm saying. The problem that most of our, elected political officials are facing is their failure or inability to, switch over immediately after election and then face the project of building their respective constituencies. And once that continues, and that's basically for the fear of the next election, I want to go for a second term, and then I want someone to do it. But the Kaduna example I was giving you is proving to the fact that immediately after election, what is required of an elected governor or representative is the application of capable leadership that will be able to move people from a state of backwardness to a state of advancement. And I gave you an example of the workforce. I'm giving you an example, for instance, of the traditional institution where in the state, Kaduna had more than 499 district levels, where Kano, that is the most populous state in the country, had just about 44. So it was impossible. The local government system itself was strangled to the extent that it was unable to pay the bills of its workers, talk less of having something left out to be able to provide the residual responsibilities that the 1999 Constitution has provided for it. So for leadership to be meaningful in this country, it will be crucial for those who are elected to understand when election is over and then immediately transmute and move forward to the level of leadership whereby very painful decisions will have to be taken that may be against the interest of a tiny minority members of the upper class within these political enclaves that have probably contributed immensely in bringing about the government in power so that the attention is focused on providing the goods of the people. As long as political leadership does not do this, then of course we'll continue to run in cycle, we'll continue to move forward, and then the problems will continue to abate, and then democracy will be...
Right. We're winding down now, and as we do, let's come to Senator Ahmed Sani and say, yes, we've gone so far with the party and now agreeing 26th of March. And hopefully, Nigerians would get to see that this holds. But one concern, not a few Nigerians have raised this concern, and it is always about the party in power, the center. And they say, look, we expect that if the party, the APC, will run Nigeria properly, then we do expect that the party would be able to keep its house in order. Is that what Nigerians should look forward to as you move to this convention?
Yes, of course, like you said, that that is why we have congresses right from the ward to the local government and to state. We expect that by the time we have the national convention, all the other organs are put in place, and there will be no more rancor at the national level. And that's why some of the state governors have said that they are trying to see that the crises that are already in some places, some states where the Congress were conducted, are resolved before the national convention. Of course, some of them are in the court, and they cannot be resolved without concluding the cases in the courts. But I think that by the time the national convention is conducted, the APC will come very strong, and I'm sure there will be that unity of purpose that will move the party forward. As a ruling party, it is expected, like one of the callers said, to show example so that they can lead the country in order to ensure that they support the government in power so that the goods and services desired over the people are provided to them.
Thank you. Professor Medana, to whom much is given, much is expected. How do you respond to that?
National convention, but I want to correct one impression. I think the last caller and some of the issues that were raised, that PDP has a seamless convention. It was a cover-up convention because they have jumped up so many things in the party because they are not the ruling party. APC is being careful. They don't have the luxury of impunity. That is, APC doesn't have that luxury of impunity. Today, up to now, PDP has not conducted the zonal congress of this Northwest. That is even what led to Konkoso leaving the party because of that wrangling between him and Tambuwal. It was after the convention they went and conducted that.
Professor Medana, well, yes, we appreciate that, but the issue here is we're asking what's going to become of this convention. It's going to hold, and Nigerians can expect that the APC would put its house in order.
Seen from the governors, from the timetable, the schedule of activities which have started, and you have seen the words from those governors, from the party itself. It has issued out the schedule, and we have sent a letter in compliance with Section 85 of the Electoral Act to INEC. Definitely, we are going to have convention as scheduled. By God's grace, I'm promising the members of this party that.
From Dr. Kailani, you go with all of this. Dr. Kailani Mohammed.
I'm in line with what Professor has said, but at the same time, we must have to reconcile our differences. This crisis, this wranglings, this acrimony in the party, we should not cover up. We are at the grassroots. People are really complaining. So what we need, and that person, the other man that called that PDP will be wresting power from us, from APC, I think is not right. Because when APC came to power, there was a bankrupt, Nigeria was bankrupted. Yeah. And we have to be, scampering from here to there to get money. And God, with his infinite mercy today, I think the federal government has done a lot. It's just because of this security issue that they are not seeing it, but it's a long-term process. The issue of AKK.
Here, so I would like to thank you all for being part of this discussion. Our thanks to Senator Ahmed Sani Yeriman Bakura, former governor of Zamfara State. Thank you for availing us of your thoughts on this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Kelani Mohammed, an APC chieftain. Good to see you. I always say that. We'll talk after the program. And then thank you to Professor Medana, Director Organization, the APC National Secretariat. Professor Kabir Matu, it's always a delight to have you on this program. You joined us from our Kaduna Network Center. And of course, earlier on, we had bid goodbye to Rinsola Abiola, who joined us from Abeokuta. With NTA Tuesday Live, I'm Cyril Stober. Continue to stay safe.